Montgomery County, Maryland schools. Let's talk about it. So Montgomery County schools have historically been considered among the best of the best in terms of school districts in the DC metro area. The schools fell out of favor with some parents, though, when they introduced the Common Core curriculum in 2010. But that's not just a Montgomery County, Maryland problem. That is actually like a nationwide problem when Common Core showed up, and a lot of people had a lot of problems with it. So they introduced a new curriculum right before COVID, and we got to see now, like, all right, let's talk about it. How are they doing? How are things faring? How did they come out of COVID, and what does everybody think of them now? Let's find out. So I am Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. This channel is Living in DC. I talk about all things living in DC and in the basically inside the Beltway, but with a buffer around it as well. Arlington, Alexandria, Northern Virginia, as well as Montgomery County and Maryland, that's suburban to DC. If that's your thing, that's what you like, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and that will alert you when I have put up a new video. In addition, if you have any questions about anything that you see in this video or real estate related, I'm going to put my contact info up on the screen right below here. I'll also put it at the end of the video. All right, so let's start out with a little bit of background information just to sort of get you acclimated to what's been going on with Montgomery County and what the situation is. So Montgomery County jurisdiction of schools has 209 schools. They offer both local schools as well as like regional or county-wide programs. There are language immersion programs for things like French and Spanish and Chinese. There are centers for Enriched Studies, which is like a talented and gifted basically for the 4th and 5th grade. There are magnet schools, which offer digital design, performing arts, and aerospace technology. And then there's also at the high school level, you can find some things that are more career-focused programs, art sciences, and also the International Baccalaureate or the IB programs. There are also a couple high school consortias that essentially allow for students to apply for a school within a grouping of schools, and they can pick the school that's right for them based on what the school offers as well as just their geographic area. So that's a little confusing for people sometimes, so let's talk about that for a quick second. The DCC, as they call it, or the Down County Consortium, was created in the Silver Spring area of the county. It's highly densely populated in this area, and the boundaries would be fluid if they essentially had to draw them out every year to make these schools equal. So they realized that if they were going to have to continuously adjust boundaries year after year after year, and it was going to throw people off, that if they were assigned to one school and then it kept changing because, let's say, like this got built or this was more dense or whatever it might be, that it was better to just sort of bulk them all together into what they call this Down County Consortium. And so they also do allow out-of-area students to apply to some programs in Montgomery County. You've got Gaithersburg, you've got Watkins Mill, which has an IB, and you've got Magruder, which has an aviation program. The graduation rate for Montgomery County public schools is almost at 92%. All right, so let's talk about academics. In 2010, the state of Maryland adopted the Common Core curriculum, also referred to as 2.0. In 2018, Johns Hopkins audited this curriculum for Montgomery County schools, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. So summing up, they found that the English and math curriculums were not even close to satisfactory. Teachers expressed concerns that with this 2.0 curriculum, it was difficult to teach with the technology, and they really felt that they needed to supplement with other lessons. So what they found with this study was that fewer than 1/3 of the students understood the math that was being taught to them, and fewer than 1/4 understood the English language arts. That's not good. So the teachers said that basically this curriculum contained too much busy work, that there was not enough time to practice the skills, and it really did nothing, this whole curriculum, to help those that were in special education. So the teachers tried to supplement Common Core with other material, but at this point, parents kind of lost a lot of trust in Montgomery County public schools. This was not a good look for them at all. Okay, so in 2019, Montgomery County actually rebid the curriculum, and 2.0 was replaced in elementary level with Benchmark, which is ELA, the English Language Arts, and Eureka for math. And then in middle school, it was replaced by something called Study Sync for English Language Arts and Learn Zillion Illustrative Math. The new math curricula have actually fared a little bit better than the English Language Arts curricula has, but regardless, it's still not like a perfect correction. It feels very a la carte style, the way that they didn't go to just one provider, but they've kind of picked and choose from different places. This kind of teaching, it's making use of online apps and technology plus workbooks, and it probably would have been okay, except 2019 was the year before 2020, which was when everybody got sick and COVID. And that timing really couldn't have been worse to train teachers on this new way that they wanted to teach the students and a new curriculum. So the lack of textbooks, using tech, the screen, the apps, the handouts, it caused a lot of angst. And then you sort of couple that in with the fact that that all happened during COVID and it was just like not working well. So the school system from then up until now still feels very much like in flux to some parents. Even something as basic as literature, students used to read like 8 to 10 books a year, and now some classes are only reading 2 to 3 allegedly. And that's just the reports of some parents on some like informal, I'm getting information from various places and sort of compiling it to get a sense, and that's what generally the sense of the parents has been in certain forum and places that I've been kind of reading and following up on. They definitely cite that there's been a big difference in the breadth of the literature and the content students are exposed to, and then there's just a decline in overall expectations even for AP classes. So quoting from one of these forums that I read, like I said, I'm pulling this information, so you do have to take it with a grain of salt, but I'm pulling the information from multiple places. Sometimes the louder voices on certain message boards and different forums and things like that can make it sound like this is the feeling of a zillion people, but there are some very good comments in here that we do have to kind of take note of. So somebody said, this was actually from a teacher, and somebody said on one of these boards, and I thought that this was actually very well done. Adding in mandatory curriculums, Benchmark ELA and Eureka Math, and the awful Curriculum 2.0, and taking away the flexibility for teachers to modify the curriculum to best engage students or allow for remediation of foundational skills is a recipe for disaster. I am disappointed in Montgomery County Public Schools both as a teacher and a parent. Kids are subjected to endless testing, which costs money, and we are required to collect and document hundreds and hundreds of data points, but for what purpose? We're unable to use that information to modify the curriculum. Data should be used to drive further instruction, and as teachers, our hands are tied. All right, I don't know who that is, but I want them for my kid's teacher because that person sounds amazing. So sounds like they nailed it pretty succinctly as to what the problems are with the changing curriculum and how things are handled. So, I mean, what's the problem though? Like, it sounds like a lot of the usual administration that's out of touch, changing a curriculum twice inside of 10 years, and an administration that's not supportive of teachers. None of that's really boding very well. Okay, so what do they do well though in Montgomery County schools? Well, I mean, there's a lot. The immersion programs that I've already mentioned, the magnet programs and the IB programs are all excellent, very, very highly regarded. There's a high demand for these programs in schools. The addition of something like career training, the ability to graduate high school and already have an associate's degree from Montgomery County College is another great opportunity should you, want to go ahead and get like a dual associate's degree or cut those, 4 years of college short. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. Those were like the best years ever, but I was just talking to my college friends the other night about it. We were talking about how fun it was. Anyway, across the board, the elementary schools are held in pretty high regard, but truth be told, I mean, that's what you hear everywhere, right? Like that's the case in DC, in Virginia. It's like elementary school is kind of the easy part. It gets dicey at middle and high school. Middle schools fare the worst, but again, I've said it in multiple videos now, middle school sucks. I mean, it's just the worst. Like, I finished my middle school in Connecticut. I never once even drove down that street again. I hated it so much. To this day, haven't done it. And then there's high schools. They're scrutinized more for their college readiness and how they prepare their students, as well as the rigorousness of academics and sports if people are looking for that. So you've kind of got a mix of things going on here. All right, let's talk about public school extracurriculars. There's athletic and non-athletics things at every single school from middle school all the way through to high school. If your kid has special interests though, you'd probably want to sort of look into some of these schools because it might affect your desire on where you would want to send them. And you may pick one school over another, and it may not be your in-boundary or your neighborhood school. So definitely check the school profile and check what the extracurriculars are in terms of sports and in terms of, just clubs and things like that, or, that you may have a specific interest in. All right, let's talk about the school administration. So Montgomery County schools are kind of run in the classic way. They've got a school board and a superintendent that kind of inform all, the decisions and everything. There were close to 800 jobs open at the beginning of summer 2022. This wasn't good, but we are in the middle of a great resignation here with COVID, and there are a lot of people that are leaving one industry and maybe going to another. So as we headed through into the last couple weeks of summer, they were down to 250 open jobs. A lot of those ended up getting filled as well. Regardless, is this the great resignation, or have the teachers just kind of had enough of Montgomery County and some shenanigans? I don't know. What shenanigans say you? Well, aside from the curriculum disaster already mentioned, it's more of the usual. So the teachers cite, again, administration that doesn't back them up, county policies that continuously change, a lack of consistent and strong leadership is always a problem for school districts. Also has been the case here kind of as these curriculums have changed. Other local districts do have the same issues, and COVID and teacher burnout is like rampant, and that's not just exclusive to Montgomery County, Maryland, but it's definitely happening here in Montgomery County. All right, No Child Left Behind. In an effort to ensure that all students have the same access to education, Montgomery County has made this a main goal for the county. Direct from their website, I am quoting, "While many of our students achieve at the highest levels, not all have had the opportunities, support, and resources needed to meet their full potential. Montgomery County Public Schools is committed to addressing disparities in student outcomes by closing gaps in opportunities and achievement for all students in all classrooms in all of our schools." Okay. So that's what they got there. This is pretty common that you're going to see in this area. The area is very diverse in terms of, the area is a melting pot. DC is just very international, right? So you're going to have, my daughter had classes where day one, kids were from Russia and did not speak any English, and other kids who spoke Russian and English were translating for them. You're going to see that there's going to be kids that are only fluent in Chinese, that they're only fluent in Spanish, and then they are in these schools and they've got to figure out how to make it so that these kids are also getting the same education. What I'm about to say probably won't be a surprise, but parents always agree with equality in education, but there are parents, and sometimes it's those very same parents, who will then malign a school district because they feel like their child is not being challenged to his or her ability. So without enough teachers, it's hard to satisfy both the concept of challenging all students appropriately and above where the level, one level above kind of where they should be with coursework, but then ensuring that those that are struggling or those with special needs also get the attention and education that they deserve as well. Some parents end up supplementing their child's education with other resources. Others pull and take them to private school or homeschooling. Others focus on just some specific high schools in Montgomery County that they think are the best of the best and that are going to, take care of getting their child's education knocked down and everything so that they too can go to the best college in the country. I don't know. That's what, it's some people sort of, it's like a sweatshop for them, and they view it as such, like they really want their kid to work and get the best education and to the best college. And then you have other parents like me who are like, did you fail out today? No? You allowed to go back tomorrow? That's great. Your father and I are so proud. So you get what you get, right? You're going to see the gamut of everything. Regardless, I think sometimes leaving No Child Left Behind means some won't be as far ahead as the parents like. And so you are going to see parents that they get a lot more involved in their child's education and supplementing and things like that. So special education positions, unfortunately, are a disproportionate number of the jobs that are vacant. This has resulted in students actually not getting the special education services that they need. So this is an area of potential weakness here for Montgomery County, but things are also changing daily. You can check the website at any given time to see how many jobs are still open and what's happening as we head into the school year, which is now officially in full force. All right, so Montgomery County was a shining star in Maryland for many, many years and admired for their schools. Many schools did, and some still do make best of lists. Montgomery County Public Schools is still kind of filling in gaps in the curriculum, and they're still paying for a lack of engagement with students during the online learning. If you don't know this, many kids did not sail right through COVID years easily. Add in kind of that subpar curriculum that changed just before COVID, and then Montgomery County, you've got them just trying to recover from this hangover. So we're still kind of in the throes of that. Things are a little, here's just one last thing to consider, though, when you're kind of looking at the difference between schools in DC, Maryland, or Virginia. A lot of times people are also focusing on what state colleges are available, and many people will choose Maryland or Virginia because of what the colleges are and the universities that are there. So the state colleges that Maryland offers are like University of Maryland, you have Towson University, and you have University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which is an honors college. So we compare that. Virginia is a bigger state geographically, I would say much bigger, as well as having a whole lot more options in terms of state schools. And that is where you'll sometimes see that people are like, maybe I'm gonna move over to Virginia because we have an option and a preference for getting into a school like UVA, which is obviously a top-notch school. And you just don't see that same reputation and level on the Maryland side with the Maryland colleges. So I am Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. That is Montgomery County Schools. Everything you need to know, maybe, and then some. If you have any questions about schools, anything DC real estate related, give me a call. My contact info is coming next.